Do you want to become a leader in open education? Well, to answer that, perhaps you'd like to know more about open education first. So let me tell you a story. It's a short story about my personal development in open education as a student of the master program Leadership in Open Education at the University of Nova Gorica, Slovenia, the country in the heart of Europe that you can see colored red on this map. I came across the open education community 3 years ago and immediately fell in love with the concept of open and how open education can make the world a better place. We could say that open education is a philosophy about the way people should create, share and build on knowledge for a better world. This group photo is no coincidence. It was taken in July 2019 after a multi-stakeholder session titled Energy, Society and Open Education. We've held this event in the charming Slovenian small town of Vipava, where the University of Nova Gorica is located. I'm showing you this photo on purpose because it connects tightly to my story, and you'll see some of these faces in the next minutes as my story unfolds. And you can meet me on this photo as well. Here I am in the middle, black shirt and white trousers, short hair, that's me. My name is Mojca. I work and live in Slovenia. My educational background is in communication science and I work as a communications consultant for the energy sector at Consensus Communications in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. To better explain why and how much I enjoy the Leadership in Open Education Master Program, let's first take a look at what open education actually stands for. Open is about many things, for example, open access, open pedagogy and open didactical practices, open policies, open educational resources, and much more. As mentioned, you can embrace open as a philosophy about the way people should create, use, reuse, remix, and share knowledge. There are many definitions of open education. Just Google it and you'll see. Well, I really like those definitions that focus on the motivational aspects of open education. I already mentioned the ambition to make the world a better place. But from a more personal perspective of what open might mean to the learner, the definition from Wikipedia is one of my favorites. It emphasizes that open education is motivated by the belief that learners want to exercise agency in their studies. For example, instead of learning strictly from textbooks, open education often focuses on hands-on open educational experiences. Now, I'd like to focus on both the philosophy of open and on the hands-on aspect from these definitions and show you how it applies to the Leadership in Open Education Master Program. Often, I experience this master program as playing in the sandbox of different aspects of open education. First, we receive thorough theoretical background and have to get to know the advanced open educational approaches and the open technology tools. And then we have to build sandcastles on our own, but using as much as possible the relevant existing open knowledge and then sharing our newly created knowledge back with the society to make it better, more knowledgeable and more collaborative. Let me present to you some of the open sandcastles we are building in the Leadership in Open Education Master Program. Our first sandcastle is built as part of the course on effective didactical practices in open education. Our instructor here is Professor Veronika Dolar. She guides us through a diverse set of effective didactical practices in open education. We first have to learn about these practices from textbooks and online courses, and then we try them out ourselves. Very practical and very hands-on. Therefore, at this very moment, I'm beyond reading a textbook section on digital storytelling, but I am creating and narrating my own first digital story. I mean this one, the very one you are viewing and listening to at this moment. First, I've prepared a script and wrote a storyboard for this digital story. Then I selected the images and screen recordings you're looking at right now and chose the background music you're listening to. And then I also had to choose the appropriate software to create this digital story. I hope you like my selection of all these elements as they came together in the digital story you're watching right now. My digital story is openly licensed, which means it's ready for you to use it, the whole of it, or just some parts. Of course, only if you like it, and if you find it useful to reuse it or perhaps to remix it with some other resources. In this way, you can create a new open educational resource and then share it again and give it back to society. Let's take a look at the next course, Open Education Design. Here, our assignment is to actually design open educational content and take into consideration the pedagogical, technological, and business aspects of it. Professor Lea Bregar and Professor Tanya are the instructors for this course. They first offered us rich theoretical background and practical recommendations on open education design. And then they pushed us towards a hands-on challenge to design our very own open educational resource. Well, that assignment is still under construction, so I cannot show you the final version yet, but you can see some initial elements of it. It's developing into an educational course on energy literacy for energy communities. It contains several modules combined with interactive assignments like quizzes and reflection exercises intended for use by the representatives of new clean energy communities. I'm looking forward to publishing this open educational course soon. In it, I've made use of some high-quality existing open educational resources on energy literacy, and vice versa, the users of my open course will be able to not only use and consume the knowledge from it, but also to reuse and remix it in their future open educational resources on energy literacy. I must admit, I very much enjoy creating my first own online course. So far, I was always only a student in online courses. And now, thanks to both instructors, I became an open educational resource creator. Feels good. Our next course is Open Education Strategies. For this course, taught by Dr. Dominic Orr and Professor Tel Amiel, we have to build from scratch an open education policy for a concrete open education project we are working on. My project is, again, about sustainable energy and energy literacy connected to open science and open education under the European Commission's Horizon 2020 and Horizon Europe program. For this assignment, we have to carefully think about the 7 steps of a policy creation process and then incorporate all the major building blocks of an open education policy into a policy for our own project. I know, it sounds complicated, but it's highly relevant and very interesting because we are allowed and encouraged to think about open policy aspects from the point of view of our own open education projects. If you'd like to learn more about these building blocks or about open education policies and strategies in general, welcome to take a look at this openly available resource co-authored by our instructor Dominic Orr. It's titled Guidelines on the Development of Open Educational Resources, and you can find it on the Commonwealth of Learning website, together with several other high-quality open educational resources. And now, my last example, the course Introduction to Open Education, instructed by Professor Tanya Urbancic and Larry Cooperman. For this course, one of the assignments was to create a video interview with 2 of the most prominent figures in the open education arena, namely Larry Cooperman and Mitya Yermol. In this video interview, which is openly licensed for you to retain, reuse, revise, remix, or redistribute it, several interesting open education topics are covered. Larry and Mitya share their insights about the key milestones in the history of open education and explain the future trends in this field. They also offer great advice to all those who are aspiring to become future leaders in open education. Well, I aspire to become one. How about you? Are you interested in joining this journey and becoming a future leader in open education as well? If yes, start by exploring the University of Nova Gorica's website, where you can find details about the Leadership in Open Education Master Program taught at the School of Engineering and Management. What you have seen in my digital story are only a few examples taken from the first 4 courses in the first semester of this 2-year study program. So I'm sure there will be much more to show in the near future. Here's the link to my personal open website focused on documenting my steps on the wonderful and inspiring path towards leadership in open education.